Hello, it's Alana. Happy Saturday. I am just going to refresh my page, see if this pops up. I think someone might be there, or either that or it is me. Hi, Ramona. And hopefully it'll pop up on my end here right away so that I can see your comments as we go. Hi, Jen. Hopefully it'll come up here. Just give it a second on my end and then I can, happy Saturday. It's not wanting to load on my end, so it'll just take me a second here to find it. Sometimes it plays nice and sometimes it does not. And hopefully it'll catch up in just a second. Yeah, I can see that it's live, but I can't see it on here. Let me just go to there. Now we got it. Just make sure that there's no volume so that you guys don't have feedback from hearing it twice here. Hi, Linda. I've got another one of Linda's cards here that I cased for today. So I wanted to be able to show you guys her other fancy fold. So I came up with this card here. And again, just like the other day, I will show you guys the original inspiration for this one here. And you can see how she got her fancy fold. And then she'll have to tell me afterwards if I did the fold the same way that she did. All right, so before we get into the card, I will just give you guys a quick recap of a couple of upcoming events. I will come back tomorrow with dates for other classes as well. And I will tell you guys the time that I'll go live tomorrow and Monday as well. So before we get into this, just a reminder of the upcoming Beyond the Horizon Paper Pumpkin Alternates class. So I gave you guys some information previously on this, and there's a little bit further information. So I was forgetting that the paper pumpkin fees are going up in March. So in order to get in on the previously announced fees, you could do a prepaid code to get the paper pumpkin kit at the lower price. Anything after March 1st, the cost of them goes up. So I'm going to confirm the prices that they will be with Stampin' Up! On Monday, and then I can update that. So this class will take place Monday, April 4th, and then that will include the kit that comes out in March that is themed with Beyond the Horizon. So we will feature that kit, and then we'll make 3 alternate cards, which will use some of the supplies from the kit and then some extra supplies that we will provide. So that's Laura and I who are offering that. And then Laura and I are also joining together to do a Waves of the Ocean all-day virtual Stampin' Retreat. It will be Saturday, April 2nd. We are going to order everything as soon as we can on March 1st so that we can get the best availability of the product. The retreat includes the Waves of the Ocean bundle, as well as some of the foil, the DSP, and the beautiful rhinestones. I'll show you guys the rhinestones. I have them handy. And then tomorrow I'll show you guys a card. I hoped I'd have one ready for today, but we're still wrapping up online sale stuff, so I just haven't had a chance. But those are the really pretty rhinestones that come with the retreat. So half a package of those. So we just want to make sure we get the order in for that right away on March 1st so that hopefully things don't sell out. All right. So if you are interested in that, let me know. There is a link on my page for registering for this. And then if you're interested in On the Horizon, just message me or even comment here, and then I can come back to the comments and have a look. Hi, Audrey and Nancy. All right, so I'm just going to set those aside, and then we'll get into this card. There's some coloring and then a couple of other techniques involved in this one. So I'll get into that so that you guys don't have to stay here too long. All right, so I have Linda's card. So if anybody's watching new today, a customer of mine, Linda, is super talented. She has been busy making cards, and she sent me a collection of cards featuring the Flowering Tulips suite. And now I can't find the one that inspired yesterday's card. I had some help cleaning up here. Do you know where Linda's card like this is? I have this one of hers, but not the one, and this one, but not the other. So Linda made this card, which is super pretty. And this one here, this is the one that I cased for today. And there is another one that I used that inspired this card here that I showed you guys yesterday. So I decided I would use her folds and come back and show you guys projects featuring Celebration product. So this was the one I did yesterday. And then I also did this simplified version of it. So I did those two that came from the inspiration of her other card. If we find it here, I'll show you guys yet. And then this was the other fancy fold that she made. So this one folds out this way and then this way. So I have created this card with this fold here. I did not decorate these two panels, but my goal is to go back and do those yet. So I'll show you guys what I did with that one here. So we'll get into that. And if you have any questions along the way, just ask. And I will do my best to catch up and answer. It's got a little bit of coloring there, so hopefully I won't have my head down too much. But this here, I used this card as well. So these two became my inspiration for this one. I had created this one and shared it previously, and I wanted to use this Celebration product, the Friendly Hello, which includes the stamp set and the DSP. So I pulled some colors from this, and the coloring method I used here, I did it on white cardstock instead of smoky slate, but you'll see when I color this how you could do it on colored cardstock like I did here. But this one here folds out like that. So again, I think it'll be nice once I get a chance to put something on these two panels, but I kept it kind of simple for today with this. So we'll get into coloring that one now. So I'll move these out of the way and I will show you guys how I got this. So this here is a piece of 12 by 12 DSP. So just like yesterday, it is 5 1/4 by 12, and I will show you guys yesterday's. This is also 5 1/4 by 12. So this one's scored at 4 inches and 8 inches, and then today's is scored a little bit differently. So I'll start with that. I'm not sure if you guys like to write down measurements in case you decide to come back to this style of card, but just in case, I will tell you what all these measurements are. So I started with a 5 1/4 by 12 inch piece. You can get 2 of these cards out of your piece of DSP. And then I scored at 4, 7, and 10. Ethan found the card, so we can show you that other one afterwards. And then again, just like I told you guys yesterday, for anyone who's new here today, when you're scoring, you don't want to score super deep when you're scoring on DSP. You want to be a little bit gentle with your touch so that you don't tear right through that. Sometimes we tend to go a little heavier with cardstock, and then we forget when we're working on DSP that we don't need to go quite as hard. So now I want to fold so that the blue is on the inside, and then I'm folding in, out, in, out. Okay, so I'm going to flip this over. Here is my 4 inch section. So Linda, if you're still here, you'll have to tell me if that's what you did. Okay, so that one goes in, and then we're going to fold out, and then we'll fold back in, and this should line up with the 4 inch score line. And just in case there's a little, if it's off a little bit, I like to just line it up along the end, hold it tight before I burnish that last fold. You can see here it's a little off, but if you just burnish that, help it to work with you. There we go. So that is the folding mechanism. And then that's going to layer on, same thing as yesterday. It's not going to go on a full card base, not on a 4 1/4 by 11, but this is just a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I actually have to trim mine down. It is actually cut at 4 1/4 by 11. And I don't need that full size, so excuse me just a second while I put that down. There we go. I'm actually going to grab a new sheet because that has the fold in it and I don't want that. So we'll just do a new sheet here so that it's just the size I want. Are you guys crafting it all this weekend? Okay, so now this will layer on our 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm not going to put it on there just yet. I'll just set these aside. And then I've got some other pieces here. Now, I chose to do the scallop rectangle here, and then I've matched it up with one on the inside, and the one on the front hides the one on the inside there. So I have them cut in both the basic black and then the basic white. So I'll put these aside as well. And then this is the layers that I'm stamping on. So this one here, to layer inside that black scalloped, is those are from Stitch So Sweetly, by the way. Though if you had the color and contour and you don't have Stitch So Sweetly, that would work as well. So this piece here is 2 5/8 by 3 3/4, I think. Yeah. So 2 5/8 by 3 3/4, and then this little tag is from TaylorMade Tags, I believe it's called. I use those ones all the time. It's got some really nice layering sizes of tags. Okay, so then I'm using Friendly Hello. I have this little mask, so you guys will see what I'm going to do with that afterwards. But I've got the bird image from Friendly Hello, and then I have the Hope You Have the Best Birthday stamp from that as well. So I'll stamp this first. I'm using my Stamparatus. I'm not actually going to do the second part of the technique if I can help it with this, but I'll explain it to you guys just in case you were to want to do this yourself and you needed the Stamparatus for it. So I'm not putting this right up to the edge just because sometimes I find with polymer, I like to have it a little further out on the plate. So I know that this second line, this 2-inch mark, is where I want to line this up. And that'll change just depending on what stamp you're using or where you like to put your stamp on your plates here. So now I'll ink this up with Memento. I am going to use my aqua painter. So if you guys prefer to use StazOn with your aqua painter and you're okay with putting StazOn on your polymer stamps, use StazOn for this. But I don't like to use StazOn on polymer, so that's why I'm using Memento. Otherwise, I would recommend for the coloring method I'm using that you would use StazOn. Because with the aqua painter, StazOn is the more waterproof ink and Memento is not. So I'm just going to have to be really careful when I color to try to avoid those lines. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here and I'm actually going to color it on here just so I can explain the second part of this technique if you guys were to choose to do this in the method that I would use otherwise. Okay, so what I need here is, now I'm going to have to move a few things out of the way because I need to bring a bunch of different coloring tools in for you guys to see. So I'll show you guys how I mixed this, but some of you who have participated in our virtual launch, you've seen me do this already, but some of you may not have participated in that. So I have used the white craft ink and the regular ink refills and made little palettes of color. So I pre-did most of them, but I want to do one just so that you guys can see how it's mixed. So I went ahead and used the same colors that I used on my original card where I did this technique. So I have Pool Party, and then a little bit of Flirty Flamingo, a little bit of Pumpkin Pie, some Daffodil Delight, Granny Apple Green, Fresh Freesia, and then I think it's Soft Suede that I did the branch with. I should have noted that, but I mixed the brown so long ago that I'm not entirely sure. So I'll actually move this for a second just so I can show you guys how to mix this, and then I'll bring this back in. Okay, So I do have some Pool Party already mixed right here, but I'm going to lighten that one, and I'll do a fresh one just so that you guys can see it and know how to do this technique. So pretend that this is a piece of wax paper. So if you don't have a silicone mat, you can actually use wax paper for it. I prefer the silicone mat because it will keep longer on there. It does tend to dry out a little bit on a piece of wax paper, but in a pinch, and so that I have a fresh spot that I can show this technique to you on, I'm using this, and then I will lighten this one up a bit. So to do this, I'm going to just grab my other refill. This one did not get left upside down and it's getting low. I actually learned this technique from Mitosu Crafts, Barry and Jay. They did a background with this, and I had mixed the ink to do some background techniques, and then I had it left over, and I didn't want it to go to waste. So that was how using it to color came about. While it was sitting here on my silicone sheet, I thought it might be cute to color the bird. So it was just kind of an afterthought. So you want to do a drop of Whisper White to a drop of whatever color. Okay. And then you'll take your palette knife. You can see that I mixed some already, so it still has the Pool Party on there. So then you take your palette knife and then you just mix it. Now on your silicone sheet, it's not going to bead as much as that. It will just stay spread out like this. It just beads up more on a piece of wax paper. So you just mix it up like that, and then I try to get as much off the knife as possible. When I did the background technique though, what I did was wiped this off with the sponge, because then I used the sponge or a dauber to apply it to the background. But because I'm not doing that this time, I want to get off as much as I can onto the wax paper. All right, so now you guys will see all these colors that I've been working with. So I'm just going to wipe that off. So you would just need to wipe it in between. So you can see there how it beads a lot on there. And then that will dry up, but it doesn't really bead on the silicone sheet. So if you don't have silicone sheets, they are a really good tool to have. And I'll show you the card that I made where I had these colors left sitting there that I used to color the bird. So I had done these sunset cards with the Paradise Palms. I did this one, and then I also did, you guys probably saw these way back in December. It feels like a lifetime ago already, but I had done these ones with this ink blending technique. So that was where this little palette of color came from that I wanted to use to color the bird. So I'll set this one aside. I don't need this one for now. But I do want to lighten up this one just a little bit. I didn't have quite as much Whisper White in there. So now that you've seen how to mix it, you can see how to lighten it up if that's what you want to do. So I just put another partial drop in there. And then now I'll just mix this up a little bit more. And then this way too, you guys can see how it does not bead on the silicone sheet. You can really mix this one. So just keep mixing that up. And then try to get as much back on there as you can. Now, I'm actually going to keep this handy, and I can pick the color up from this with the coloring method that I'm going to do. All right. So keep that handy. And then I'll bring back in my stamped bird so that I can color this in. Now, excuse all of this here. Have any of you tried this since having seen me do it before? I love it when you guys go forward and give these things a try. All right, so we'll keep that. And now you guys can watch me color for a minute or two. Hopefully it's not too painful. I'll just take a quick look to see if we have any questions. It looks like you guys are good. So I have used my, this is the Finest Tip Aqua Painter. I'm not going to keep a lot of water in the tip because this is basic white cardstock. I'm not using watercolor paper or anything like that, but you could do this with watercolor paper. It's just, even with the cardstock, just like in the version I showed you on the Smoky Slate card, I go and set these cards aside after I show you guys, and then I don't know where I put them. So with this one here, because it's not using a lot of water and it's cardstock, you can still color really nicely and it doesn't pill. So I really like the look of it on the Smoky Slate. All right, so I will just squeeze a little bit of water onto my silicone sheet so that I can just pick up a little bit from there and mix it into the palette of ink. And hopefully you guys can see this. It's not too far away. I don't know how to zoom in on Facebook Live, so hopefully the coloring will turn out okay for you guys. So it moves around pretty well. I'm trying to avoid the stamped lines because this has Whisper White in it. It will color over those lines and dull them. So the technique that I was going to tell you that I'm not doing, but you could do, is I could ink this up again once I'm done coloring and stamp over top so it would crisp up the lines again. But I need to be super precise with that if I was going to do that. I actually did do it when I was practicing this, and I didn't have it lined up properly, so my second stamp didn't go down properly in the first spot, probably because I colored straight on here and it shifts a little bit, but I didn't want to risk not getting a perfect stamp the second time while I was here with you guys and then having it not work out. So that's the only reason I'm not. But if you guys are doing it at home and you don't have an audience watching you, then you might be braver to stamp over top of it the second time. But just be careful when you're going over it. Try to avoid your stamped lines, and then that way hopefully you don't have to stamp over. But that is a method you could do. Do all your coloring, let it dry, ink up your stamp, and then stamp on top, and that will make your lines nice and bold again. So now that I've done the pool party there, I'm just cleaning out the tip of the aqua painter on a paper towel just to make sure that I don't mix the colors. Next, I will get a little bit of Daffodil Delight. So I want to just grab, putting a little bit of water there. So that is Daffodil Delight mixed with Whisper White there. I just pre-mixed those ones. So I'm just putting a little bit on its belly. And then I have Flirty Flamingo here. So I've got a little bit of water already in there. And I am going to actually, feels really bold. I'll just do, this looks super bold initially. Don't be scared off by that. So now I'll wipe that off. Yeah, Jan, I should be able actually to put the score measurements in the description for you guys afterwards. And then you don't have to scour through the comments. So now this is pumpkin pie. And I'm going to go in between this line here, between the daffodil and the Flirty Flamingo, and just kind of blend them out a little bit. Now I'll wipe that out again. And then I came back over with a little bit of Pool Party up along the top here, just to blend that in a little bit more. So even though it's basic white cardstock, it's not watercolor. It seems to take it fairly well because there's just enough water. It's not pooled with it, but it's just enough to let that spread across. And the white pigment ink helps it spread across there. So that's all I need to do for the bird. I'm going to, and I did tell you guys I was going to lift the color off of here, and I forgot. So I went and pulled it off of here. But I could have just lifted this off to help use this up. So I'll save this and then I can use it later. All right, now I want to color the stem. So I have a little bit of the, I'm positive this is soft suede. And I'm just being careful to just go down the branch and avoid, try to avoid the lines, the stamped lines, so that I don't take away their boldness. There we go. And then again, I'm just wiping off the color in between each one. Little cat hair there. And then this is Granny Apple Green. I chose Granny Apple Green because it is the color that is in this package of DSP. And I'm just trying to go in the veins here. I'm avoiding the black as much as possible. Even with this fine tip aqua painter though, it's kind of hard to avoid them. So if you go a little bit outside and get a little bit of that pigment on the black, I wasn't too worried about it. If Leanne is watching, I'm not sure if she's here, but she would say, it's just art. It's not meant to be perfect, right? Okay, I almost forgot this little leaf over here. Do you guys like to color? I find this method, I know a few people have tried it and have felt that it's pretty easy to use. It's not that daunting in comparison to some other methods. If you're not super confident with coloring and you have the tools to do this, give it a try. All right, so that's the leaves, and then I used fresh freesia that's pre-mixed here for the flowers. So all of these other colors that you're seeing here that I've not used, they're just mixed from other projects, and because it keeps so well on here, I just haven't wiped them off because I'll come back and use them for something else. So don't be afraid. Like, I think the silicone sheets are about $8. So they're not a bad item to have multiples of if you plan on doing different techniques like this. So I'm just going to put a little bit more water, just a drop here. Then you have just a small little palette of water. If I can get a little drop out of here, it's a little hard. There we go. Then you have just a small little palette of water to grab from to mix so that you're not having to oversaturate with water. Now I'm going to, again, try to avoid the lines. Not doing a very good job avoiding the lines, but that's okay. I don't think I didn't actually color the images with this technique, not this image anyway, on our virtual launch. I might have colored a little bit with the blues and purples from the Heart and Home. Does anyone who was on the virtual launch remember? It feels so long ago, but I showed 3 different methods on how to color in the Blessings of Home, I think, Heart and Home. Just ignore that I went outside the lines. And with this fold, you can use any of your DSP. So if you don't own this one you can still get up until Monday with Celebration. This stamp set and DSP bundle is a level 2. So in Canada, it is a spend $120 and you get the bundle for free. But if you don't own this one, for example, the card that Linda made, if you have coordinating DSP and other stamp sets, don't be afraid to use the fold and use a different suite or a different bundle. Okay, so that is the fresh freesia. I'm just cleaning off the fresh freesia again, and then I'm going to come back into the Daffodil Delight. And this one I'm keeping pretty bold, and then I'm just going to dot it over the center so that we still see some of those black lines from the stamp, but I'm not really coloring, just dotting over that part. So that is the coloring. That's all I will do. I might actually just do a little bit more Pool Party just to blend this out a tiny bit so that that line isn't quite so harsh. Okay, now I'll just recap the tip that I was telling you guys you could do if you went over your lines too much and toned them down with the white pigment ink that was in there. What you would do, again, I'm not going to do it, but what you could do is now make sure that your paper is lined up right where it was before, that you didn't shift it at all, and then you would ink up your stamp again, and then you would stamp it over top, and then it could crisp up those lines. I'm just going to leave it because the first 2 that I did, I shifted it a little bit and I got a little ghost image. So I don't want to do that while we're here. So I'm going to skip that. Now I can put this away and I'll get all these ink palettes out of the way as well. All right. can I give you this to put up high? With these little ink palettes, it's like, get them out of the way. The cat is not at risk of jumping up on the tables right now with her frostbitten paws, poor little thing, but you never know what elbow or hand I might put in them, so we need to hide them from me. Okay, so I'm going to make sure this is dry. I want to do an extra little bit of a technique on top of this, so I need to just make sure with that water that I use for coloring that it's nice and dry before I go and put this mask over top. Yeah, I cut myself a new one.
Oh, okay.
If you're ever drying from the front and your paper curls, just flip it over and heat from the back too, and it'll help take the curl out. Okay, so that seems good. Now, I'll show you guys what I did here. So this one, I added a little bit of Pool Party blending behind the image. Normally I might do that first, but because I was coloring, I didn't want to have that Pool Party blended section behind this. Oh, you're welcome, Elaine. Or I mean Linda, sorry. You've changed your name there on Facebook, so it threw me off for a second. So what I did was created the mask, and then that way I can apply this over top of my image. How I did this was I took that bird image again, I stamped it on a sticky note. You want to make sure that you stamp high enough that the sticky part of your sticky note is on here. So that's sticking to my finger because the sticky note is right behind there. So now I can use this as a mask. So I am going to mask off my image. And then I'm going to blend some Pool Party behind there. All right, so just want to dab off first. And then I have to just be careful. What I need to get is the sticky notes where the whole sheet is sticky. This one is not. So I just have to be careful not to bend my mask. And I didn't have that on quite straight, so I need to move that a little bit. Okay, so just always dab off first. And I just have to be careful that when I'm blending now, that it doesn't bend these while I'm going. So I'm going in small sections so that I can have a little bit more control, that I don't bend them. Now I'll show you guys in a second. I didn't get all of the sections, but I tried. This is a little heavy on the blending. Now with dabbing off here, this is a laminated sheet. I can just pick that up from there. If I was doing this on a piece of paper, that would absorb into the paper, but because this is laminated, I am able to do that. Okay, so that is, again, a lot bolder than here, but that's okay. It'll do. Okay, so I'm all done with this. Now, I also added these little spatters. Sorry, my little greeting labels there. I added little spatters, and I didn't want them over the image. I just wanted to look like they were on the background. So I'll leave the mask on, move my card out of the way. And then now I can just take my blends, the brush tip and the cap, if you haven't seen this done before, and then just gently flick over top. Go as much or as little as you like. And then you'll see here now when I pull the mask off, now the bird and the image do not have the blending or the spatter, but all around it does. So that just takes away some of that white space if you don't want quite so much white space. Now here's my tip for you. I actually used this when I did this card. I added a little bit of smoky slate spatter behind here, but I didn't want it over the bird. So I made this card, it was January or December, and I had made this mask way back then. So what I did then is I just take my case and I just tucked it inside here. So it will stick there. I didn't put it on the inside because then when your stamps shake around in here, it will knock it off and bend it. So I just hid it in between those layers, and then now that keeps that nice and safe, and then I can just pull it out the next time and I don't have to go to all the trouble of stamping and fussy cutting that out again. So when you make a mask, you want to like cut it really tight to that image so that you're only masking off the image. So reuse that guy. Don't feel like you have to recut one every time. So hopefully that helps you guys with that little tip. And I'll just wipe off this ink here. Another thing with this laminated sheet is you can just wipe it clean. And those blend spatters that I have on here, I can also just wipe them off with rubbing alcohol after. I won't make you guys watch while I do that, but it's a good idea to laminate one of these. All right, so here's the card again. And now we can work on assembly. So I have this tag from the TaylorMade Tags, and I went and set my memento aside. I was thinking I was all done with that. So this is the Hope You Have the Best Birthday. Again, that's from the same set. I strayed from the greeting set I've been using for all of these celebration projects, but that's okay. There we go. It fits just in between there. And then I'll bring back in all of my little pieces here. All right. It was actually kind of tricky to find a pattern in the pack where I could coordinate both sides of the DSP with the coloring I wanted to do. So hopefully this works okay. Hopefully it's not too much on your guys' eyes. All right, so I'm going to, I like to distress the edges a little bit. So you can just take your scissors. I'll have to catch up in the comments right away. I've been busy coloring and doing all this, so I've missed them. But have any of you guys tried this coloring technique since you caught our virtual launch back in January? If any of you who are here watching are not part of our virtual launch, it is all still on our Facebook page. We can still add you, and you can still catch all the projects we did there. We had lots of live demonstrations and projects shared. Okay, so I have this. I will glue this down. I still love blends. I still use those all the time. But this was a nice, easy way to color. And then this is cut so that it fits just inside that stitched line. If anybody uses this fold, please come back and post it in the comments and show us what you made. All right, so that is ready there. Now I will take the 4 by 5 1/4 section, and I want to glue that down to this layer, which is the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so that that becomes our card base. And actually, no, I'll go ahead and use Tombow. What's your guys' favorite adhesive? What do you tend to use? For me, it depends on what I'm doing. Now I've got to try to avoid getting my fingers on that while I line this up. So perhaps it would have been smart to use the tear and tape. Tombow gives you a little bit of wiggle room though. So it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. There we go. Sorry you guys had to watch me do that part. Okay, so now we have this section there, and then our 2 folds, and then this will come back down. And again, if I get a chance to decorate these 2 sides, I'll come back and show you guys those on another live. So what I did next was, because these layer in front of each other, I'm going to attach the back one first. This will go centered, so I want equal spacing side to side and equal spacing top to bottom. So I'll just go ahead and glue this down there. And this is going first so that when we put this top one, we can line it up in front. If you put the front one on first, then it's harder to get this back one lined up exactly behind it. It's easier to line up from the front. Okay. There we go. That looks a little bit crooked. So I should be able to wiggle that over still. Still a little bit crooked. Do you guys ever do that? Straighten it out after? That's better. Okay, so now I can take this one, and this one here, you can see here I want to be able to line it up right in front of that so that it hides it when this is all collapsed down, but I want to attach this one on dimensionals. So I will first, I'll actually use some black dimensionals for this. For this part here, because it has the black base here. So what you do here is I'm going to flip this over. I want to line it up so that it's lined up in front of that one there. This pattern here, I want to make sure that when I put the dimensionals on here that they don't exceed this, the white pattern. Otherwise it will tape my layers down. So I am going to keep these so that they're to the left of this pattern. And then this way I can just peel these off, throw my glue on the floor, and then I can flip this over, and now I know those dimensionals will not tape my card shut. And I'm just lining this black up to the white. There. And then now we have our layers like that, and then it lines up there. So that's the reason for doing the back first and then doing this one in the front afterwards. Okay, now I have this here, but I have an extra little detail here with this little bit of lace doily. So I'm going to take, these are the Heart and Home doilies, but they have the white side on the back. So I just snip 3 sections off, and then I can tuck those behind that little label. So, oh, wrong piece. I need the 3 little scallops, not the full doily. All right. So I'll just use tear and tape for that. I always find the end. So then I just put this little piece here. Oh, I went a little bit too far down. It's like that. And then I can take my doily or my label and just tack that down like that. And I did that so that it gives a little, fills a little bit more of that white space down there. So I'll take that and I'll dimensional this onto there, but again, I don't want my dimensionals to exceed beyond here. It overlaps just a little bit there, so that's not really a huge concern on that side, but just want to mention it so that you guys don't stick them end to end and then tape your little section down. But again, you can just flip it over and make sure that you don't go over the side. I think I saw somebody's comment there that that was a good tip, so I'm glad that that helps you guys. Too messy and impatient for Tombow. Score tape always. I love that everybody has their adhesive that they like to use. Now I haven't tied the bow yet, and then you guys will see why in just a second. So now I'll just put this here so that it overlaps the side just a bit, and then my bow is going to fill this space there. So the reason I attached the tag first is that now that it's on there, it's easier to loop the ribbon in there and tie the bow instead of fighting with tying the bow when the tag's not attached down to anything. So then you're just kind of working against yourself. So now I can just take my ribbon and tuck it through there. And I can tie it right off the roll. So when you're tying your bows, you want to make sure that, so now I've cleaned this up so the layers are all kind of flush to each other and not twisted, and then you get a fairly tidy bow. And the same thing when you're wrapping these around, try to keep the layers flush and not twisted. Okay, so that's really big. Then I hold the knot down, cinch those back, and then I've got my bow. And I've got my old ribbon scissors. Do you guys have these ribbon scissors? If you were lucky enough to get these way back when, Do not ever let them go. They cut so nicely. I sure hope they bring those back. I think that's a lot of people, that's their wish, is that Stampin' Up! Would bring back these ribbon scissors. I've got a couple pairs of them. All right, so that's that so far. And then I just have one more thing. I am staying strong with these brushed brass butterflies, and I added those in next. So we'll use them. And always with my odd numbers. So I just use the take your pick tool. It's super handy. There we go. So what do you guys think of this pattern? Is this pattern okay? It's not like too much. I hope not. I struggled with deciding which pattern to go with. I'll show you another one I had sitting here, but it was a little louder, and then I accidentally colored on it too. So that would have been hidden though. I could still have used this, but this was the other one I was going with. I had it this way, and then I folded it. So here's the other trick. If you score this one way and you don't like it, just flip it over and fold your scores the opposite way. So I had it that way, and then I had it this way, but then I cut an entirely new piece and went with this one. So what's your vote? Let me know which one you guys prefer. All right. So I think I'll have to go back and use the stamp set. I won't do it right now, but I think I could add some layers here and here with the flowers and the leaves. So I'll have to do that another time. And maybe even I could have stamped some flowers in the corner there. But thanks, Jen. So there we go. That is my, I don't even know what this fold is called. What would you guys call it? Linda, do you have the name for this one? You like the one I'm using? Thanks, Ramona. All right, so that is the card. Again, this is the one that it was inspired by, Linda's. I just love all these layers that she put in here. I think it's beautiful. So this was the inspiration, and this one here for the coloring, and then this is what I came up with. So hopefully that fold inspires you guys to use up some of your DSP and accordion. That's a good name for it. I was trying actually to come up with a landscape version of it, and then I thought maybe I'd show you guys both, but that one did not come together. I decided to just stick with the portrait version. So maybe if I get another one done, then I could show you guys that one, because it would have different measurements. It had to be cut at 4 inches, and then the folds went this way. So if I can come up with something with that one, I'll show you guys how to do the same style of fold, but different orientation. So yeah, it's just checking to see if you guys have any questions. Ramona says lately it's been Tombow. You know what? That's funny, because I do go in seasons where I'll use one type of adhesive almost exclusively, and then I'll bring other ones in and I wonder why I wasn't using them. Do you guys find that? And then I switch back. It just kind of depends on what I'm working on or what's handy, I guess. All right, so that is today's card. I promised that I would tell you guys when I'm going to come live tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be, 1 second, I will be right back. I wrote them down and I forgot to bring my piece of paper with me. All right, so tomorrow, Sunday, is going to be at 4 p.m. And if I get extra projects done, I might even do a second one at 7. But I will let you guys know that tomorrow. So 4 p.m. Central tomorrow, I'll do another live. And then Monday will be 4:30 p.m. Central. I tried to do 4 o'clock on Friday, and our kids are done school at 3:30. So it's just a little bit too hectic to get them and get back and be ready. So I figured I would just say 4:30 instead of not making it at 4. So 4 o'clock tomorrow, 4:30 on Monday, and I might even do a second one tomorrow. So I don't know if anybody commented. We had a little bit of comments while I was on live with you guys as to what I should use today. You guys voted friendly hello with this fold, but just comment here and tell me what you guys think I should do tomorrow. Linda sent me a photo of another card. She's just very talented. So if I get a chance to make that one for you guys, then maybe I'll do that. It's with another Celebration product, but it would be a bonus. So let me know what you guys think I should use for tomorrow or Monday. Celebration wise is what I mean. So I will be back tomorrow again, if you guys are interested in On the Horizon or the Waves of the Ocean retreat, then you can use the registration link for Waves of the Ocean, and you can let me know about On the Horizon. And if you are interested in earning my free class in March, you can use this host code here. And if you place a $100 order, you can take the class for free. And with a $65 order, you get a free gift. So with the $100 order, you get both, actually. David, with the On the Horizon, it will be the full paper pumpkin kit that is Beyond the Horizon themed. That one actually comes with a bonus stamp set too. So it sounds like you get 2 stamp sets with this paper pumpkin kit. And then Laura and I will be providing 3 additional cards that will be using supplies from the kit and then additional supplies that we'll provide. And if you want the all access pass to our previous retreat, that's actually still an option too. I'm not sure if that's what you mean, but let me know if I answered that for you. All right. So that's Beyond the Horizon. Let me know if you're interested in Waves of the Ocean. And let me know if you'll be back here tomorrow. All right. Thanks, everyone. I hope you guys all have a good night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon.